What's up, guys? How you doing? Welcome. I haven't done one of these in a little while. Let's see here. There we go. I am not in a car, obviously. I am in my home doing some painting, and hopefully we can do a little bit of a live chat. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day and enjoying this awesome resurgence of Cyberpunk happening because of that amazing anime that we all love. So yeah, welcome. I'm just like I said, doing some painting. Got 20 guys to paint. I did one already. There he is. Kind of looks like a Mortal Kombat guy, like a henchman. Um, which one should I do next? I'll do one of these guys next. That's right. All right. Come on in, guys. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Yeah, tonight actually is a very special night because tonight we'll be airing Infinite Sided Dice's Edge of Extinction. It'll be on Twitch first at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then from there, it'll be out worldwide on YouTube. So this is that awesome actual play that's happening. That's in person, lights, camera, action, all the good stuff. So hopefully you guys can catch that. Amon Devilman, what's up? Hey there, John. Hey there, what's going on? Welcome. Good to see you, Chum. Thank you for joining our live chat. For those of you that are new to my channel, I try to do this like every week, but lately I haven't been able to do it. Is just connect with you guys, chat, talk about Cyberpunk, answer any questions, offer some insight, and usually it's in a car at work. But today I'm here. I'm at home. So yeah, we can just chat it up and talk about whatever you guys want. What's up, Punk Generator? How you doing, man? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. I hope the resurgence of Cyberpunk has been helping your numbers as well. If you guys don't know, Punk Generator makes Cyberpunk content as well. He has a cool YouTube channel. So make sure you guys check that out so you can have even more Cyberpunk in your life. Right? I'm painting Kyric Acolytes for Age of Sigmar, which I've recently fallen in love with. I mean, I wouldn't say fallen in love, intrigued. It's fun. It's good to have multiple games that you can play, you know, just in case you feel like playing other games. And it informs you. Playing other games in different systems is one of the best advice that I've ever given a game master and that I've ever read anywhere else. Like, being stuck on one game and one system is not going to broaden your horizons. I think the best thing to do is to make sure that you have variety in your life, even if you just try it out, you know, one shots here and there. That's why conventions are so great, because a lot of people go there, they try out a game, and then if they really like it, they go ahead and they get into it, you know, because these games are not just like, you can't just like get into it without a little bit of commitment, you know. So I totally get that. Especially as a game master, you know, if you really want to get nitty gritty, you got to watch YouTube videos, you got to do all kinds of stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys have been having wonderful games playing Cyberpunk. I just went to the shop recently, yesterday or the day before, and I just overheard people talking about Cyberpunk there, and then there's like a small crowd of people around me as I was like talking about it, and that's a good sign, right? Means people are super interested, they want to learn about it, they want to play it, they're sick of D&D or whatever game that they're playing right now, and they want to give Cyberpunk a shot. So that's always good. Usually I'm watching you from home in your truck, your car. Today I'm in my truck while you're at home. Nice. That's cool. Are you also a truck driver? Because that's cool. Yeah, I'm actually trying out these contrast paints right now. These are, I'm not trying them out. I've used them before, but I haven't like fully committed to them like I am right now. I'm basically painting all these guys in contrast, mostly contrast. You know, a little bit here and there, a little bit change here and there, but mostly contrast. And I'm really liking the results. It's like, if you do the chop shop method, I don't know what it's called, but you basically zenithal highlight, and then you paint contrast paint over it. So it's nice. It's nice. Today I'm going to be doing a Cyberpunk panel as well. I'll be a guest on a podcast for Cyberpunk Day. If you guys have not, are new, Slap Chop. Thank you, Infinite Sided Dice. There we go. Speaking of, make sure you guys go to that channel, you subscribe, you go to them on Twitch, because tonight they are going to be live with episode 1 of Edge of Extinction. It's an exciting time for Cyberpunk. So I highly recommend you guys go check that out. This thing, the only problem with contrast paints are you gotta wait for them to dry before you can do anything. So like I gotta touch up some things, but I can't do anything until they dry, so I guess I should just batch paint. Oh well. Morning, Mr. Fogel. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Just a regular pickup. I do it work all over the state of Oklahoma and then some. Oh wow, that's a lot of driving. But yeah, man, I had the awesome opportunity, as you guys saw in my behind the scenes video, of being able to be there in person and watching people enjoy Cyberpunk. I will say I don't think anybody else does miniatures the way Edge of Extinction is going to do it, because Dustin, I'm not sure if that's you on the account, but Dustin, the game master, he's an old school guy. Like him and his brother. His brother owns the shop, Green Tower Games, which is my home away from home, and they're old school gamers, like playing since like Warhammer since 3rd edition, board games, card games, miniature painting. Dustin's Lumineth army is just absolutely beautiful. His tech list is Golden Demon standard, in my opinion. I don't think he would say that, but I would say it. But yeah, it's so they're old school. They like minis. They like terrain, and I don't think anybody's really done that in a actual play. I don't think anybody's had like a board with terrain, and they're gonna be the first ones doing it. So it's pretty awesome. Let me turn on do not disturb mode, just in case. Turn do not disturb. Alright, that should be, there we go. Morning, Steven. Good to see you. Haha, not quite, but thank you for the compliment. Yeah, of course you're not gonna agree because you're too humble. But I mean, it's one of the most, you have like a resin water thing going around. Are you kidding me? You painted the little tufts of grass pink. It's absolutely beautiful. The mask on that, the mount too, is insane. So yeah, I appreciate you being humble, but guaranteed it's top level. So yeah, so he's doing a really good job with those minis, putting them on the table, terrain, you know, because usually you see combat encounters. Most people that play, it's theater of the mind, because honestly, it's so much easier to just do that. But you never get anywhere in life just doing the easy thing. And Dustin has decided, if I'm going to be playing a tabletop game, I gotta have minis, I gotta have terrain, because that's just how I play. And he figured out a way to showcase the minis on the table in a really fun, engaging way. There's like a good top-down camera, and that's great, man. I don't think anybody's doing that. I don't think I haven't seen a single person doing that for D&D or anything. So That's always fun, getting people into the miniatures. Because I gotta say, when you playing war games, being there, moving minis, all that, there's something to it. It's something special. It's just like playing in person is something special. Moving miniatures on a board is also something special. It's great for visualizing what's going on, visualizing where you are, where the enemy is, your best place to attack. And also, you in my video that I talked about, it's great for babe. It's okay if he makes noise. It's okay if he makes noise. Yeah, you guys might hear my son because this is his world. We're just living in it. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, just like playing. I talked about how theater of the mind versus miniatures is, or using battle maps. Sometimes when you have a battle map, you have to go by whatever the design is of the battle map, and you can't really be that creative. But with miniatures, you could be a little bit more creative because you're like, I want to jump on here, jump on this ledge, do this, jump on that and that. But a virtual tabletop, it's very limited to the scope of what you see. Theater of the mind, you can basically just make anything up on the fly, and I've found that my players fill in the gaps. So like, let's say we're in a combat encounter. I tell them, you guys are in a dark alley. There's one neon light far at the mouth of the alley, but where you guys are, it's fairly dark, and there's a few abandoned cars on this alley and a trash can. So I gave you a little bit of information about your surroundings. All of you have a unique view of your mind of what that looks like. And because of that, you're filling in the gaps. You're filling in the gaps of where the trash can is, where the car is, how dark it is there, and all the trash on the ground and stuff like that. You're filling in those gaps. And your imagination is always going to be better than my own imagination because you're always going to think of the coolest thing compared to me. I found that's what my players do. In fairness, oops, I accidentally deleted. No. I accidentally deleted your message. I'm sorry. I was literally just tapping. How do I undelete it? Oh well, sorry. Make sure you're not banned or anything. I don't know if I fat fingered banned you by accident. You know what? I'm gonna add you as a moderator just to make sure. In fairness, Critical Role has some really nice minis, but of course they do, yeah. Hail Lobster, unbreaded. Alright. Lobster's good. I like lobster. Unbreaded lobster too. Why not? Yeah, the thing is they have minis because they're capitalizing on their audience buying minis. That's what it is. It's not because they use the minis. Which is, I think that's totally fine. It's good to have merch. Hopefully Infinite-Sided Dice will have some merch so I can wear it and show it off. My drip. So yeah, that's totally fine, I think. But I don't think that... I think they prefer theater of the mind, right? They don't really like doing anything other than that. Ooh, how am I going to get that detail? Got it. Some of these details on these minis. These Age of Sigmar minis are so awesome, man. Artel Saurian has minis now. Yeah, it's from Monster Fight Club. Monster Fight Club does the official minis for Cyberpunk Red, and they're really good. Since the genre and the game have the same name, I think we should rename it to Digital Thug. Digital Thug? I'm not sure what that means. Theater of the Mind is awesome. Paint me a word picture. Yeah, that's something that I'm, I feel like as a game master, I have a lot of strengths and weaknesses. One of my weaknesses is definitely description. I'm trying to be better at it. I'm trying to be like, I'm trying to make sure that I have all the sights and sounds. That's like one of the tips I've heard. But yeah. Do you have a preference between fantasy or Age of Sigmar? I've never played Old World. I've only seen it. But I've played Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar is the new one. I like it. So I would prefer Sigmar. But I think Old World is coming back. Cyber and digital is a synonym, and punk and thug is a synonym too. So digital punk, digital thug, cyberpunk. Well, thug is actually, I learned this from TikTok. Thug is derived from a Sanskrit word of thagos, which were pickpockets that would basically mess with British colonizers in India, and that's where like thug came from. So punk is a little bit different. I think punk has more like what is the word? Socio political connotations to it. But I know, I see where your head's at. It was a caravan of murderers. Yeah, I'm sure it was all kinds of stuff. The hate you give. Their Mechton miniatures from the 90s were fantastic. There's some really good Grenadier minis for Cyberpunk from back in the day, too. They're metal minis. Prio, hey, JonJonTheWise, a friend recently got our group into Cyberpunk Red. Your content has been a huge help getting us up to speed with the setting. Thank you. I am happy to be of service. I appreciate the support. It's great to see people playing Cyberpunk. And, you know, you never know what kind of influence you're going to have around the people around you. Socioeconomical, yeah. That's the word. Digital is usually connotated as incorporeal. Yeah, we can get into semantics. 2020 is best Cyberpunk, though I throw no shade at Red. Well, hey man, I played 2020 for years, and it was my favorite RPG. Obviously, I like D&D as well. I think D&D is one of the best RPGs ever made. 5e is what I mean. So I love D&D, but Cyberpunk is always gonna have a special place in my heart. You guys know why. You guys have played Cyberpunk. You understand the tone of it. But I will have to say, throughout every single Cyberpunk 2020 game that I played in and that I hosted, the game was vastly different than what the core rulebook had. We all added homebrew, we all changed things, and that's why 30 years later, there's a lot of people that still play 2020 because they're like, hey, it took me 30 years to hone this down to this perfect RPG. Why am I gonna play a new one? And I totally respect that, I get that. But I honestly was, after playing 5e, I was ready for a modern version of Cyberpunk. I needed the quality of life changes. I just needed it to be more modern. I wanted a new one. I wanted a new Cyberpunk. Are there some things that I miss from 2020? Of course. There's a lot of things that I miss from 2020, but there's a lot of things I don't miss. Like, I don't miss the over-calculating, rolling on fumble charts, stun saves. Those things are cool on paper, but like they would really slow down the game so much. Combat would take like hours, but they would take so long, and I wasn't a fan of that, you know. And then the idea is like, okay, if I change the basic mechanics of combat and one of my players dies, then it's kind of on me if they die, you know. It's like, hey, you changed the game and my character died. So like I had to have a lot of trust between my players that that's okay to do. But also you got to be okay with the fact that you changed something fundamentally about the game and it led to a character death indirectly or directly. And that's on you. But if you play rules as written and a character dies, then hey, that's the game. You know what I mean? I don't feel as bad. I don't feel like I screwed over my player. There's less conflict resolution that needs to be happening. But like I said, no matter what, my 2020 game was vastly different than the core rulebook. Arnog's 2020 game is, I mean, it might as well be another game. There's like all kinds of stuff in his game that are not even near any supplements. So, that's the other thing. There's dozens of supplements for 2020, so it was really difficult to parse which one to use, which one not to use, and stuff like that. Sorry, I'm just catching up with chat. I went on a little rant. What would a game of Cyberpunk look on the moon, Mars, or space station? Well, Cyberpunk is low sci-fi. It's not as like hardcore sci-fi as other genres. Like there isn't really that much space travel. It's mostly like in the outer orbit areas. And it's probably going to be similar to like those those glass dome colonies that you see in a lot of sci-fi, where like they colonize a planet and then there's this big glass dome. It's pressurized, and I would imagine that that's what life is like. It's probably really strict over there. You probably have less rights as a human being because if the dome breaks, all of the civilization there is dead. They don't have a lot of resources. They have limited resources. So it would be interesting to try to explore all that. But I feel like Earth is bad enough. I don't need to add an element of like you're also on another planet, and it's going to be difficult. The channel is going to be Cyberpunk Day. The thing that's happening is this is a pre-recorded thing, so we're pre-recording now. It's going to be me and a bunch of other content creators. We're going to do like a game master panel, and then it's going to be posted at a later date, so just stay tuned for that. The moon is a harsh mistress. Yeah, it is. Cyberpunk has a better battle system, I agree. If you do that, then you will be the guy who killed someone's Cyberpunk character, and then Pondsmith would have beef with you. Yeah, exactly. Corn Beef Boy, don't mean to change the subject or anything, but what armies do you have for 40k AOS? For 40k, Thousand Suns, Black Legion, and Zinch Demons, and then for AOS I also have Zinch. I'm using basically the same army. Those are Thousand Suns are my boys. I love everything about them. Lore, everything. Oh yes. All of Dust, dude. I love their lore, everything. I've read all the Ahriman books. I've read all the anything that had any Thousand Sun in it. I've read all the books, and I love them. Mars and Total Recall. Yeah, that's a great. Total Recall is a great way to imagine what Cyberpunk would be like on another planet. Smite, smite, smite your smite. Yeah. If it can be smited, it will be smited. Yeah, that's definitely correct. So yeah, those are the armies that I collect. I'm having a lot of fun with them. This dried up a little bit. Let me just touch this up before I move on. I'm so glad I got into miniature painting too. It's really helped my mental health. I highly recommend it. Obviously, it's one of those things that you have to research and get into. It's not something that you just like suddenly start doing. That's a good idea. Thank you on that. Yeah, I would definitely do Total Recall. That's a great one. It's such a good story too. The idea, was it ever confirmed? Well, I don't want to spoil it. Spoilers for Total Recall, a 30-year-old movie. All right, spoilers. Okay. Was it ever decided whether the whole thing was part of the package that he got, the vacation package thing, the whole thing that he was going through? Man, I tried making a demon prince that looked like Nero's devil trigger from DMC5. Hey man, that's awesome. I like that. I'm a hardcore AdMech fan. All glory to the Omnissiah. I'm really hoping the Dark Mech are true. Yeah, me too. I honestly don't think so. I think it's just a character that's going to be a part of the lore, but I don't think there's an army behind it. Unfortunately, I don't want to be like the naysayer, but I unfortunately don't think that there's going to be an army yet. But who knows? Maybe for 10th edition, we'll see. GW likes to make money, so why would they pass up that opportunity, right? We already got Voltan this edition. Yeah, we did. That's what I'm saying. And technically, if you think about it, World Eaters is a new army as well. It's not a new army, but they're getting the Thousand Suns Death Guard treatment, which means that they're going to have their own personal codex, which is great. I wish all of the Trader Legions had that, instead of just being, one book for all of them. Because I'm chaos all the way, baby. That's what I'm all about. I love chaos. I love everything about them. I think the chaos. I think the Imperium is a scam. It's a multi-level marketing scheme. It's a cult. It's all those things. So I'm not about it. I'm not about that life. Sorry, I'm just doing some silver with Drakenhof Nightshade to give this blue metallic look, and it's fun. I like it. It's really good. All right, touch that up, touch that up. He's basically done. Like, I could touch it up more, but I'm just going for speed painting this army. I'm gonna see how fast I can do 20 guys. Alright? You guys are on this journey with me to see how fast I can. I already painted 2 guys. Look at that. We got skin tone. It's hard to see. We got skin tone and all that. So, yeah. That's fine. You can go.
No, not right now, but I'll be probably like around my 20.
Yeah, that's fine.
Can I be gone with you?
Yeah. So, I think the Total Recall in the OG, they left it open on purpose. Maybe it really happened. Maybe it was all in his head. Yeah, yeah. I was just wondering if the director confirmed or denied, whatever. I think Custodies agree with you, which is why I love Custodies so much. Yeah, Custodies are great. Yeah, I got Zangors. Unfortunately, they suck in 40k and they suck in Sigmar. I've never been able to use them, like utilize them well. There's always like a better unit to use instead of them, which is a shame because I like them. They were good action monkeys for a while. Yeah, but now cultists are better. They're cheaper, and if you just need them to do actions and stuff. Find it a bit suspect that the Mechanicus worship a false god. Or do they? Or do they worship a Necron Catan? I guess we'll never know. But that's neither here nor there, right, guys? I've been reading Tales of the Red. Yeah, buddy, come and hug me.
Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Tales of the Red. I've been reading Tales of the Red, the adventure book, and I'm gonna do like I'm gonna do a video on it sometime soon. But I have to read all the adventures first. I might do multiple parts because I think they deserve that kind of treatment. There's so much going on in the stories. But there's some good stuff. I have a little bit of criticisms here and there, things that I would change. But I don't think there's anything wrong with changing things. That's like how I've always played tabletop games. I change things if I don't like them. I modify things, or I keep things the same, depending on how I feel. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. There's some people out there that don't like the idea of something being released and then they still have to put in work to change it. But that's the best result, is making it work for you and your table. They've been saying that since day one too. Artel Sorian has been saying since day one, whatever's good for your table, do whatever's good for your table. All the 2020 books, you'll find paragraphs where the author says, if you don't like it, change it. And I feel like that's not encouraged as much, in all the RPGs that I've ever played. Like if you look at games like Starfinder and Pathfinder, they don't really leave a lot of room for creativity because they have a rule for everything. Lyrian Shoham, thank you so much for the 15. I have no idea what that currency is. It looks like some kind of, oh, it's shekels. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you for the 15 shekels. I made my own TRPG game, 6 pages long mini system. Can I get your feedback on it? Of course, email me, JonJonTheWise@gmail.com. I would love to take a look. Thank you so much for the 15 shekels. How cool is that symbol? I didn't know that shekels had a symbol like that. That's such a cool symbol. That looks like a Necron, like a Necron thing, right? I really like Tau. Tau's cool. I don't get why people hate Tau. I mean, I get why people hate it, but who cares? Let people play whatever they want. Did you play the Necromunda game? Gives a very cyberpunk feel to it. High-ish, tech, low life. Yeah, Necromunda, I haven't played it. I've seen it. It looks interesting. Obviously, I like skirmish games. I mean, if I'm going to play a skirmish game, I'm going to be playing the Cyberpunk one that's coming out soon. I backed it on Kickstarter, so I'm waiting for like 1,000 minis to come to my house so I can paint them. I'm definitely going to be doing this slap chop thing with those minis because I'm not about to sit there and paint all day. It's a combination of 2 Hebrew letters. Oh, cool. It's very cool. There's a video game for Necromunda. Yeah, I heard it sucks. Hired Gun, I think it's called. The problem with a lot of Warhammer games is they all suck. They're all really bad. It's a shame because it's such a great world. Make sure you explain your changes with your players ahead of time and leave a time for discussion. It's all about player expectation lining up with how the game plays. 100% great advice from Infinite Sided Dice. Setting expectations is really important. That's like one of the first things I do with a new group. Some groups I don't really set. I feel like some friends, like, they know me already and they trust me, so I don't have to, like, I should still set expectations with them, but I feel like if there's any problems with anything, that we can resolve it. There's no issue. So, but I do think it's important that if you're playing with a group of people that you've just met, or you guys haven't really interacted with each other, or you're a new game master, especially if you're a new game master, you gotta have expectations set. Like, these are the things that I've changed. These are the things that I haven't changed. This is the kind of stuff I like to focus on for my campaign. And these are the topics that we'll be touching on. So if anything is gonna trigger you or make you uncomfortable, let's get it all out of the way right now and be able to have a good game. Because there's nothing worse. Sorry, I've been listening to Weird Al lately. Hell yeah. There's a movie coming out, right? But there's nothing worse than putting a wet blanket on the game because of an incident. Like, something happens and then everybody feels bad and then everybody is upset, and it just, like, bogs down the game. Like, it makes everything suck. Like, that, we don't want that. We want everything to be smooth, everyone to be happy, and everybody to enjoy themselves. Especially, I don't know about all of you, but if you have kids and a full-time job and all that, whenever you guys are gaming time is a sacred time, and it needs to be perfect. Not a lot of things in life are perfect, but that needs to be as perfect as possible because you have a limited time on there. And there's nothing worse than being triggered by, like, a past trauma when you just wanted to come and play, you know, dice games with your buddies. Like, that's not something that people want. You know what I mean? So I think it's really important to have safety tools like that. Whether it's like a sheet or whatever. I've seen, like, this sheet of paper where it's like a checklist of stuff. You know, you can do that if you want. I prefer to just, like, lay it all out there for, like, what I like and don't like. Like, for example, like, one of the first things I'll tell my players is, like, you know, sexual assault and sexual assault on NPCs and stuff like that is out of my game. I don't want it. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I know racism exists. I know all that stuff exists. I don't want it in the game. We're here to escape, not remember how shitty the world is. And, you know, if that's not something that you're into, like, you know, there might be a group of people that when they play, they want to simulate certain aspects of life that would make other people uncomfortable. But, like, hey, if you find your group and your group is okay with that and that's actually what they want to do, then good for you, man. Like, I think that's awesome. It's really hard to find a group of people to be friends with where you're all on the same page, you know? So if you actually find that or some kind of degree of that, I think that's awesome. I have no judgment, you know, even though you play the game differently than I do, I have no judgment against you because at the end of the day, we're just trying to find a group to play with. It's our favorite game. It's our hobby, you know? Other people, they go out on jet skis, drink at bars, do heroin in alleys, and we're over here rolling dice, pretending to be other people. And that's what we like to do. So it's important to find that group of people that you can do that with safely. Yeah, I mean, I have horror stories, dude. I'm sure you guys all have horror stories too. I actually would love to hear any of your horror stories. So if you guys are watching this email me your horror stories, and if I get enough of them, I'll love to read them and do like a whole series on horror stories, because I think that it's good to get it off your chest. I have a lot as well. So I have a semi-horror story. Ooh, let's hear it. My biggest trigger is rolling a 2 on a psychic check, re-rolling and also getting a 2. Yeah, that's no bueno. Well, if you're 1,000 Suns, you spend 1 CP and ignore it. Are firefighters a thing in the cyberpunk world? Yeah, for sure. There's firefighter services. Whenever I try to imagine things that we have in our life, like what it's like in cyberpunk, I always think like, what kind of technology would be amazing? You know, I don't have to know exactly how it works, but it would be really cool if there was like an automated drone that had like a tank of water on it, and it can just like fly to parts of of skyscrapers and put out fires. Maybe there is like this new formula of a chemical that it's like an expanding foam that puts out the fire, and like one can like, you know, fill up a whole floor, an office floor, you know. That's the kind of everyday cyberpunk things that you should try to inject into your world. Is look at things that are in your world that you normally see and just make it cyberpunk. Make it more technologically advanced, make it more convenient, make it more efficient. And that's what cyberpunk's all about. Now, that same expanding foam, you know, what the other thing we can make cyberpunk about it is, like, imagine people are trapped on a floor and it's on fire. The drone comes, puts on the foam and like suffocates everybody here. So like, it's like, oops, we got collateral damage. Arasaka will pay the families, you know, it's okay, we'll brush it under the rug. But we put out the fire, and that's what's going to be on the news, not that we suffocated like our whole 3rd floor office, you know. So yeah. Let's see here. I suppose I don't remember ever seeing firefighters explored. Yeah, maybe in the check out the Cyberpunk 2020 source book, Protect and Serve. That is supposed to be like the cop source book. There might be stuff about firefighters in there. I'm not sure. I don't have it on hand. I have it on my computer. So I would definitely check that out. You can get the PDF for pretty cheap. So I recommend that. Liran Shoham says, so I was playing in Israel with my group and I described to them cyberpunk settings. Oh, okay, here's the horror story. Safety tools actually make it easier to explore more extreme aspects of RP, not the other way around. Yeah, exactly. Because when you know where the line is, then it's a lot easier to know how far you can get to the line. And it gives you a lot of freedom as a game master, so you don't have to be in your head all the time, like, oh, am I going to hurt people's feelings if I explore this topic? But instead, you're just like, you're like, oh, we already talked about this, and I know that this is going to work. So, no. Cyberpunk setting. Now we are all Jewish in the group. This is in Israel, so we just laughed for 5 minutes. Yeah, I get that. Love you, John. I gotta go write the rest of the music for tonight. I want to hear all the horror stories. Love you too, buddy. Have a great release day. I can't wait to watch it, and I can't wait to see what you bring to the community. Rookie Drifter, have you read through Cyber Generation with them? Cyber Generation is, for those of you that don't know, is a cyberpunk setting where kids kind of get like superpowers because of like radiation and stuff. I'm kind of butchering the lore, but it focuses on the new generation of cyberpunks, which is like young kids. And I'm just not into that. I like more adult, mature themes of, you know, people with jobs that are adults. Like Cyber Generation is about kids that have to grow up quickly because of their circumstances. And I'm just not a fan of that, but there's a lot of people that are out there that do like that kind of stuff. That sounds like Mother putting out a fire in Paranoia and killing the residents. Yeah, I get that. What are buses like in Night City? I mean, probably horrendous. Like, buses in real life, like now, are really bad. public transportation like is terrible. If you ever seen like stuff of New York, like the subway is like an alternate dimension into like Crazyland. So I'd imagine that buses in Cyberpunk in cities that have money are automated. It's all automatic, no driver, because then if the driver gets killed, the bus can't do its business and it can't make its money. So instead, it's like all automated in those areas. Or if the city doesn't have enough money and someone's willing to risk their life and transport cyberpunks all around, then they have armed guards with them, or they hire a crew, personal security. Like imagine you get on a bus and there's like 3 guys with AKs right next to the driver, and they go like, pay, go sit in the back, be quiet, don't make any noise, and we'll get to your destination. You know, that so it's basically like, think about all the common things we have in our life, but it's more dangerous. So, you know, I was once on a bus full of soldiers, each with their service rifle. Yeah, but I mean, Israel's a different situation, right? You guys are surrounded by countries that, you know, regularly go to war with you guys, and you guys have mandatory service. So I'm sure there's soldiers walking around all the time, you know, just living their life. Love Cyber Generation is a nanovirus. That's what it was, not radiation. Thank you. I'm in charge of seeing people pay their ticket. Yeah, imagine if you were like, the city paid for you to get cyberware, and you oversaw people paying for their ticket, and if they didn't pay for it, you would have to arrest them and take them to the authorities. And then if they fight back, then you know you got. So that's what cyberpunk buses would be like, in my opinion. Dylon. I hope I said that correctly. Hey, if you're taking questions, I am, in fact, taking questions. How do you incorporate NPCs like friends and family from characters' life path in your games? 2020 campaign, by the way. Well, my answer will work for both 2020 and Red. It's actually something that I do all the time. In fact, I think it's a must. You have to do it. You need to do it to make it more interesting, to add stakes to the game, and also it helps your characters, your players feel like they're involved with your game, because they're basically telling you, these are the important people in my life, and as a game master, if you're not putting them in your game, then you're missing out on a chance to get their attention and to get their interest. So the way that I usually introduce friends and family is a multitude of ways. Like either they're in trouble, or they see each other on a happenstance, or they're a connection. There's somebody that the players can turn to for help. There's somebody that the players can turn to for a plot device. As a game master, you can totally use them as a plot device. One of my players in one of my campaigns, he had a wife. His wife was a news reporter, and he was a cop. So I came up with the idea that she was killed. We don't know why. Sorry, buddy. He doesn't like when I say that word.
What?
I'm saying Kill.
You said it already.
I know. Anyway, so the wife was unalived. The wife was, and the whole mystery of our campaign was to find out, yeah, exactly, Jimmy's character. The whole campaign was to find out what happened to his wife, why she was, what did she uncover, who was after her. So that was important. Another one of my players had a father-in-law that was a professor at the university, and they were basically investigating something that was happening at the university, and he was like, oh, well, I know a professor that works here, so why don't I talk to him? And that was like, I knew that was gonna happen. It was a layup. Like, I reminded him before, like, oh yeah, your professor, one of the people that works here is your father-in-law. Anyway, we would just go on with the campaign, and then they would be like, oh, wait a minute, if my father-in-law works here, then maybe he can give me some insight on what's going on
with the university. So that's ways that you can involve character backstory into the plot and make it so your players are invested. And I've always heard from game masters asking like, how do I get players involved with my plot? How do I get them, wanting to do the things that I want them to do to go with the story? I mean, involve their backstory, involve people in their family. You know what I mean? Again, Paris actually gave me good advice. He said there might be people that will be like a little bit triggered if something happens to their family members. So definitely, before the game ever begins, just ask them like, "Hey, I'm gonna involve your family and backstory in this campaign. So tell me now if it will trigger you if something happens to your sister or your mom or your dad or whatever, because I'm probably going to be exploring those kinds of things. And if I know that that's something you don't want to happen, then I'll make sure that I don't cross the line with them. So that doesn't mean they don't have to be involved. That just means, don't torture them to death. You know what I mean? Have them help the party, but while still being safe. There's things that you can do. Let's see here. Have you played Witcher? I've played the PC game, Witcher 3. It wasn't for me. I didn't really like it all that much. I know people are in love with it. I love the Netflix series. I love Henry Cavill. And I think the lore is really interesting. But haven't played the tabletop game. Haven't played anything past Witcher 3 or Gwent or any of that stuff. So I do think it's cool though. It's very interesting. The Netflix show is probably my favorite product from that whole IP. Scrag says, I added Martian Marine NPCs to my game a while back, and now my players want to go to Mars. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's interesting. You can do the whole what's that show called? The Amazon show. That got picked up on Amazon, the sci-fi show. I can't believe it's slipping my mind. Expanse, thank you, Scrag. Yeah, the Expanse has the whole Mars versus Earth, plus the Belters, like that work on the asteroid belt. You can use that as inspiration for your ideas if you want to do like Martian Marines. I think it would be cool if the Martian people are like hardened people because they have to survive with very little resources. They've had events where like they just didn't have water and like family members died of dehydration, or the food like shipment didn't make it one time and they basically starved to death. So that means that the people that survived are like hardcore. They're like tough. And the people that are in their military are like that on another level. You know what I mean? So I think it would be interesting to explore that topic where Martian Marines are like these really big bad guys. Minecrafted. Sweet, appreciate the insight. I'm a player right now, but am going to run the next campaign probably, so our current ref gets a shot to play as a character. That's awesome. Good for you. You're awesome for doing that. Just Angle 117 says, I just wanted to say thank you for your Cyberpunk videos. You've helped me be a better GM. I'm happy to be of assistance. That's all that I want to ever hear is people are having fun and enjoying the videos. I'm happy to be of service for the community. You guys are giving back to me too, so I'm grateful for all of you guys that support, and I hope you have some happy gaming. So they are like the Fremen from Dune. Yeah, aren't the Fremen supposed to be like some kind of like, I don't know really much about Dune. I just saw the movie. They're supposed to be like some kind of special people. I don't know, like they have something special in their bloodline. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I can't be able to comment. Have you ever played Jovian Chronicles? Nope, never heard of it, never played it, unfortunately. I'm sorry. Scrag, basically they left before 2020 and everyone forgot about them and they have started to evolve somewhat, and they don't have crime much on Mars because they developed their own BD tech to forcibly see, braindance tech, to forcibly see what? I don't know. Maybe just like seeing in general. I like that. That's cool. That's fun. World building. It's exploring the topic of like the Martians being the others. Oh, forcibly see memories. Okay. Um, I like the idea of them being, the others. The concept of the others is really important in that kind of dichotomy where it's like you have Earth and then you have the others. It goes on with the High Riders in Cyberpunk. In Cyberpunk 2020 and Red lore, there's a group of people that live in orbit. They used to be basically like asteroid belters like the Expanse. And they realized like, hey, we work for all these corporations up here. Like if we wanted to, we could just drop one of these big rocks on Texas and like cause like global devastation. So they're like, dude, we're sitting on all these nukes. Like we literally have nukes. And they said, you know what? We're basically taking our rights. We're taking unionizing to another level. Imagine those Amazon warehouse unions or Starbucks unions having a nuke. That's what the High Riders are. So now they're like these like well-respected groups of people. They stopped the last corporate war by dropping one of the asteroids. So it's fine. So that's how powerful they are. It's like when they tell people what to do, people listen. Because it's like they got nukes. You know what I mean? I haven't explored the High Riders all that much, but it's an interesting concept. Do you play Red primarily now? Would you recommend in general over 2020? If you're a brand new player and you're the only tabletop RPG you've ever played is D&D 5e, Red is your game. If you're a new player and you play modern new RPGs like Pathfinder 2.0, Starfinder, Vampire the Masquerade, Call of Cthulhu, all these newer RPGs, Red is your game. Anything new, Red is your game. If you're into OSR, if you're into old school gaming, I would definitely recommend 2020. It's going to be right up your alley, especially if you play really crunchy games like Phoenix Command or something. You're going to love 2020 because it has all that same old school stuff, like old school grittiness. Your character dies easily. In Cyberpunk 2020, you can easily kill a player character in one turn of combat. Like, no problem. Auto fire, point blank range, kills any character. That's why it was changed in Red. It has some criticism with its changes. But to be honest with you guys, yeah, I said kill, buddy. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And the last time you said die in the video.
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry. I'll try to say it less.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Honestly, auto fire is one of those things in the game that I haven't heard a single person. What's up? Okay. I haven't heard a single person. I know, right? I haven't heard a single person come up with a better concept that wasn't like super deadly. Somebody better clip that. Yeah, the auto fire in 2020 automatically kills automatically unalives somebody in point blank range. Just to give you guys an idea of what it can do, an AK-47 has a 30-round magazine capacity. You can say I'm dumping my whole magazine. Let's say the DV to hit is 12, okay? And you rolled a 25. That is 13 bullets that connected out of your 30-round magazine. Each bullet does 5d6 damage. 13 times 5d6 is how much damage you just did with your assault rifle. So you tell me, is anything going to survive that? No, it's not. So as a game master, I'm like, okay, I know that I can unalive my player right now. Like I can just walk up point blank and unalive them right now. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna do that because it's gonna suck. You know, we don't want to OTK one turn unalive, one turn buy is not fun. Flatline, good job. You're right. I should be using the lingo. flatlining your players like off of one turn, it sucks. It doesn't feel good, even though it's rules as written. That's raw, dude. Like, I'm not doing anything different. So if I'm gonna flatline one of my players, I can do that. So I choose not to do that, and now the game has forced me to ignore an entire mechanic. I can't do auto fire. Like, I just can't. My players can because it's cool if they feel cool. I like the idea of my players being able to, like, you know, fill a bad guy up with lead if they want to. I'm not going to take that away from them. But I can't do the same thing back to them. You know, even though all is fair in love and war, it's still not, it's not fun as a game master to do that. It leaves like conflict. That's why a lot of Cyberpunk 2020 games were considered super deadly, because there's game masters that were like, no, this is rules as written. I'm just gonna do it. So if you're gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And then it's like, okay, every session I'm re-rolling a character. You know what I mean? So that's not fun. It's not fun. So what would we do? We would modify it. We wouldn't do auto fire. Basically, as a game master, I wouldn't do auto fire because I knew that I would flatline one of my players. So this is a roundabout way of telling you that 2020, as awesome as it is, it has major flaws that the modern games, the modern quality of life changes have fixed. So I would definitely recommend Red over 2020. And that's just one of the things, dude. Don't even get me started on martial arts with cyberware. Like, you can do, if you think auto fire is crazy, martial arts with cyberware is on another level. In 2020. My campaign takes place in Detroit, which has the worst combat zone to the point where it's even walled off from the rest of the public. Whoa, that's dope. I like that. I like that idea. In my setting of the Devil's Triangle, there's all kinds of major cities all around, and some of the cities are complete combat zones. Tyler, Texas, complete combat zone. So I like the idea that you can go to central Dallas and it's like a corporate city, and then you go a little bit more east and it's like a complete combat zone in Tyler, Texas. So I like to explore all those aspects. Let's see here. Say neutralize. Yeah, I think flatline is the word. We're gonna be saying flatline now. I will watch the Strive says I watched the fun 2020 game that introduced the bionic wolf that was kick-ass, awesome, and zeroed on the first encounter. Those random headshots were wild. Yeah, that's great. I love that. I love cyber animals. I have cyber horses in my homebrew world where the Texas Rangers, they ride on cyber horses. So that's fun. Yeah, in our 2020 campaign, the ref kind of let our party get the power creep over the enemies we have been fighting. He says he's going to step up the threats a lot. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, in 2020, like, when you want to play Cyberpunk, you want to do the simulation of being, like, the crazy badass that has cyberware and can, like, you know, flatline anybody at any time. And you don't want to take that away from your players. Like, that's why we're here at the table, to, like, simulate that kind of fun fantasy. But it's not good for game balance. It's really not. As a game master, you're basically just giving things to your players. You're not taking anything away from them. You're not adding any risk. It's like having God mode on in a game. It's fun for a little while, but then it gets boring when nothing can flatline you. So there's no risk. And that's basically what happens in 2020 games. It's like the risk is either like 100 or 0. There's no like middle risk. You know what I mean? You can have like a few encounters with some gonks on the street, but those middle risks are trivial. Even like challenging risks are trivial. It's got to be 100. You know what I mean? For it to really be a challenge. So that was usually my problem.
The lunch pails are out today.
Oh, the lunch pails are out. Nice. McDonald's lunch pails are back, guys, for all us old grognards. Let's see. Martial arts has been broken once. We figured out how it worked. LOL. Yeah, even in Red, it's a little bit broken. Yeah, as Scrag said, martial arts is still pretty broken in Red. In 2020, it was insane. Yeah, exactly, Chris. In 2020, Basically, you would take a kicking martial art like Taekwondo, and your kicks would do 5d6, and then you'd get a cyber leg, and your cyber leg would add another 4d6. And I think if you got like the hydraulic upgrade for the cyber leg, it's another 4d6. So you're doing 8d6 plus 6. 8 plus 6 is 14. So you're doing 14d6, ignoring half armor, rate of fire 2 with your cyber leg. I mean, what's going to stand a chance? You know what I mean? Nothing's going to stand a chance. So that's another way that the game was broken. Let's see here. Each bullet gets armor. You can flatline them, but it isn't a guarantee. It also leaves the shooter basically unarmed. Yes, MA was harsh. Yeah, each bullet hits armor, but I mean armor ablates. So if you hit people with 12 bullets point blank range, they're likely not gonna make it, you know, especially if you're doing 5d6. Gaza complete combat zone. No, really, yeah. I feel that. I found it really funny and sad that my hometown in Texas, Lubbock, is the only city in the wiki said to be a ghost town. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I mean, I live in LA, so LA in Cyberpunk is a radioactive wasteland. So there isn't really much to explore there. I was kind of bummed out about that because I think New York is like just New York, but LA is a wasteland. And it's almost like they took LA's concept, put it in Night City, and then made LA a wasteland. So it's like, you don't have LA. Yeah, I can change it, you know, I can make it different, but we already have Night City in California, so who cares? You know what I mean? In our 2020 games, we had cyber cows. They moved like robots and had anti-personal guns. That's great. I love that, cyber cows. I figure the trade-off for martial arts in Red is that you have to actually get close to your opponent for it to work, and the DM can have enemies hold actions to deal with them. You can hold actions. You can also do suppressive fire. Suppressive fire is basically everybody in your vision in a cone in front of you, basically. You spray your whole magazine, and they gotta do a will check. I think it's will plus evasion. I have to look it up again. One of you guys can tell me. But they gotta make a special check. And if they fail it, then them running at you, they gotta turn like to the left, to the right, or back behind them and run to cover. So as a martial artist, you were just nullified. If that's your only weapon, you're nullified. Every time you fail that test, every round you do nothing. So, so having suppressive fire is actually really powerful because it's not just you; it's all your buddies too, and allies. So yeah, I'm thinking of creating a campaign. Chris Redden says in futuristic Las Vegas. I've done Las Vegas; it's good. Thinking about calling the city Los Valores. The desert Grand Canyon would be good nomad land, and the sandstorms are good for red rain. Nice. I like that. That's a good idea. I think it would be cool if like outside of Vegas, nomads live there, and it's basically like dead. It's completely like a ghost town or what is it? Desolate. It's completely desolate. Lore-wise, Nevada is a free state. Free states basically have autonomy. They don't have to answer to the U.S., but they still kind of do answer to the U.S. because it's like you're within the United States territory, so you're not completely autonomous, but they have a lot of say on what they can do and what they can't do. They basically, I think, because of how much mob money they had, they were basically able to fund themselves out of the collapse. And because of that, when the United States re-emerged, they were like, hey, we're fine. We don't need you guys. Like, we don't need government. Like, we have our own governing body, and we're doing just fine. We have our own resources. But instead of going to war with you, us, Texas, Northern California, we're going to be having our own autonomy separate from each other. And if you need anything, give us a call. Obviously, if we get invaded by another country, we'll help you guys because we're all in this together. But we have our own autonomy. So that's a fun concept to explore with Vegas and Nevada, is the idea that they don't really take orders from anyone but their own governing body. Northern California is another free state, if I didn't mention that. I think I did. Now to make a Kim Kapwan build for 2020. Have at it. What would a CP campaign look like in Buenos Aires? Baron. Well, the South Am War is something you definitely want to check out. It's something that happened in 2020. Basically, the entire Southern and Central American countries became cartel lands, lawless cartel lands, and the Big Four, DEA, FBI, CIA, and one more. I'm forgetting the last one. But, NSA? No, there was no NSA at the time. Anyway, these four bureaus, they allied with each other and basically overthrew the American government. That's how the collapse started. But they were like, we're gonna go and we're gonna kill all the drug crops with this bioplague. We're gonna drop the bioplague and kill all these drug crops and kill the entire drug trade. But you know, a bioplague doesn't really know that it's not supposed to eat other crops. It just does what it's supposed to do. So of course the bioplague spread to like good crops, and people that were just growing corn and apples, all of a sudden their crops are gone. So it led to this giant dust bowl from Central all the way down to Chile of South America. Chile's all the way on the bottom, right? I don't remember. But anyway, down to the tip of South America, just complete wasteland, all the crops gone. Cartels were defeated because, I mean, there's nothing else, but so were innocent people. So if you're gonna explore Argentina, I would definitely have that in mind. You know, that kind of stuff happened there. It does seem like a fun setting to explore. It could have I could have players might want in a CP Red campaign. I like the idea of the mafia running the show. The house always wins. Yeah, the house will always win. All right, drive safe. Are you gonna bring food back?
I don't know. Well, I'm gonna stop by McDonald's to get the.
Well then, yeah, just get food.
I don't have McDonald's.
You just want the lunch pails?
Oh, yeah.
Love you too. Bionic Wolf, Metal Gear reference. For sure. Space Wolf's Vengeance for Prospero. Scrag, I'm liking that people are open to campaigns outside of Night City. Something like Night City is pretty intimidating as a setting to me as a DM. It shouldn't be intimidating to you. It should be familiar. The Night City sourcebook is...
Sorry, if you start getting annoying and loud, it's
Okay. The Night City sourcebook is one of the most valuable sourcebooks out there. I would read it, take a look at it. If you play the 2077 game, they basically got the concept of it down. It's run by fixers, corporations, and the mafia, and there's corrupt government that are just trying to live their day-to-day lives. The police are just trying to keep the peace, and most of the time they'll look the other way for small crimes because they're really just trying to take out cyber psychos and organized crime, while at the same time working for corporations. So and sometimes working for organized crime. So that's the idea of it. That's what Night City is. It's corporate greed, organized crime, inhumane living situations, and just the way that like a city just swallows you up. And it's a city that never sleeps. So that's the thing about Night City. I don't know if you've ever lived in a city, but like a big city, like the major ones, but the cities just don't sleep. There's something going on at all times. You can get a hot dog at 3 a.m. on a street corner, or you could get a hit of Smash or Black Lace or Blue Lace or whatever. So on the next corner. And that's basically what city life is like. Pryo says, JonJonTheWise, what are good resources for canon, CP, lore, and history? Where can I find them? Home of the Brave is the best cyberpunk lore book, in my opinion. It tells you everything about what's going on in the United States. And the reason it's good is because it gives you insight on what happened. Why did it collapse? How are all the other states doing? It's the best source book, period, for lore, 100%, other than the core rule book. But I mean, this is like, it focuses mostly on lore, on Home of the Brave. Home of the Brave is 100% what you need to read. If you're looking for European, Eurosource. If you're looking for Asiatic, Pacific Rim. If you're looking for the High Riders and Orbit. There's one called High Orbit. If you're looking for Night City, there's a Night City source book. So those are all really good books. Hopefully we'll get a red source book for Night City soon. I'm sure they're working on it. Have you ever played Talsorian's Starblade Battalion? It's CP's Future in Mechton. Nope, never played Mechton, never read into it. I'm not really into mechs, unfortunately. I kind of got over it after Gundam Wing. That's what I watched in high school, and then I got over it. What are your thoughts on recreating the net with an analog instead of digital system? My players are placing analog repeaters all throughout Detroit and linking them together to make a unified net. Yeah, actually that exists already. It's called a city net. And basically when you go to a major city, they have their own net, but it is called a garden page. So basically, like let's say you're in Night City, you can sign on to the local garden page, which is their internet. Think of it as if you ever worked for a corporation, they have something called intranet, not internet, but intranet. And that's basically just like an internet system just for the corporation. Like you can only access it if you have like a password and you can visit that internet. They have intranet in China, by the way. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of countries that have intranet. As much as they try to like hold it down, there's still people that can like get onto the internet. But cities have their own intranet. They're called gardens. Every like page on the garden is called a patch, like a garden patch. And that's where you can find data pools and information. So if Detroit is a complete combat zone, like your players are basically like creating infrastructure that exists in other cities that Detroit doesn't have. And your players are basically fixing Detroit is what they're doing by making this intranet. So I highly recommend it. It's great. In fact, when my players visit cities, I tell them like, hey, once you're here, you have cell phone coverage while you're in the city to people in the city, and you have access to their garden, their intranet. So there's all that. Despite all that, Night City is beautiful beyond belief. Think of pre-takeover Hong Kong. Yeah. What happened to Israel in red? I don't actually know. I don't know what's going on with Israel. I would imagine that without its Western allies backing it, Israel had a major uphill battle with its neighboring countries. So, you know, without getting political or anything, I think just trying to fill in the blanks of what would happen next, that is probably not good. You know, it's probably not good for Israel if it doesn't have its Western allies to help them because they have their own problems, you know? What type of in-lord corporations do you think would have a foothold in Vegas? EBM maybe. I think all of them. I think that not being in a major city is a big blow to any corporation. That's why Arasaka being banned from the United States is huge. It probably put a giant dent in their business. And any corporation that's anybody wants to be in Vegas. They want to be in Night City. They want to be in any of these big major cities because that's where people are and that's where they can do their work and make contacts and further their agendas. So I would make sure that every corporation is involved somehow in Vegas. Now, how would you separate them? So in the Night City sourcebook, corporations basically dethroned organized crime. So in Night City, organized crime and corporations do not get along. They're at war with each other at all times. And the police are in the middle of it. But in Vegas, it might be a different story. It might be that they realize that for their own, survival, that these organized crimes groups had to work with corporations. So maybe there are some that work with Zeta Tech, some that work with Microtech, some that work with Raven Micro Industries, some that work with Arasaka clandestinely, and then there's like some that work with Militech. So, and then maybe there's some that don't work with corporations, but they work with the government. So I would definitely think what's best for those corporations, because they really don't care. There's nothing personal. It's always business. So if it's good for their business to make contacts and allies with people that they normally wouldn't, then they're gonna do it. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with whether they like them or not. I have a client that I work with, and I'm not gonna name him obviously, but we don't like each other. Like, it's established. I don't like him. He doesn't like me. But whenever I send him an invoice, he pays and he gives us work. So I don't need him to be my best friend. I don't need him to like me. It would be nice if like I could scratch his back, he could scratch mine, but he made it very clear at an early date. He's like, you're a service, I'm paying you for your service, and that's it. And but then that also means that, like, all right, this is my price and this is my set price. It's not changing, so you're gonna pay it. And that's exactly what he does. And that's the kind of corporate relationship that you should probably expect with organized crime and corporations as well, because it's like they need each other, they work well together, and they don't have to be best friends. But yeah, exactly. Keep it professional. Keep it professional. It's really important. Good time for a VPN sponsor video. Surfshark. Currently writing a special investigation campaign, and what corporations do you think could unofficially sponsor them? Okay. It's really all of the corporations. Think about what's at stake for those corporations. What do they need? So let's talk about Arasaka and the Time of the Red. Arasaka and the Time of the Red is majorly diminished. Their control is majorly diminished. So they have to resort to working clandestinely. What the hell is that? Working secretly. So discretion is very important to them. So anybody that can help them with discretion is very important. People that work in the government, people that work in police stations. If somebody's investigating something and Arasaka's name comes up, then somebody goes to that investigator's office, knocks on the door, closes the door, and turns the blinds and says, hey, Johnson, I know you're on this Arasaka case, but I had a contact tell me that you should probably let this one go. And the investigator, if they, want to preserve their life, will be like, oh, got it. Thanks for letting me know. So we're just going to stamp this as unsolved mystery, put it in the shelf, and go on with our lives and live. But if they're, a hard-ass detective, it's like, I'm not going to take orders from anybody. I'm here to solve the case. Then, rest in peace. But so think of like what is at stake for the corporations, why they would need to be a part of the campaign, and what agenda they're trying to accomplish. Chris Redden, awesome dude. I really appreciate it. It helps me flesh out the basic details of how I can establish los valores in lore. Yeah, do it, man. Do whatever. I'm happy to be of help. Home of the Brave. Definitely check that out. Good source, but you can hire your cousin like everyone does here. Also, what the CCP and Huawei are doing with Elite Capture. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard of stuff like that, but I don't really get too deep into it. Arasaka, after the US band, starts singing a part of that world. Signing part of that world? Singing? I don't know it. Okay, so I grew up in China, and nearly everything in Cyberpunk setting I saw in China. Yeah, I bet, and I'm sure it's more like that nowadays too. Would it be possible for a PC to create a corporation from scratch in Red? Yes, great question. No, oi. That's in fact what they intended for your players to do. So if you make an exec character, you can work for one of the major corporations, Arasaka, Militech, Zetatech, Microtech, whatever. You can work for any of those big corporations, or you can explore the route of like a startup corporation that is like rising from the ashes of the last collapse. Because if you guys don't know, in Cyberpunk Red, compared to 2020 and 2077, most corporations collapsed. Because of the last corporate war and all the things that happened, their resources were drained, they lost personnel, they lost effectiveness, and because of that, most of them just took the bank accounts, drained them, gave them to the high executives, and told everybody else to kick rocks. So because of that, I had a point. What was the question? Let me look at the question. Oh yeah, so making your own corporation. So basically it was up to middle management to try to figure out what they're gonna do. Like lower level people in the corporation, like they're the saddest and the sorriest. Like they're done. They thought they had a safe life, and the corporate zone that they live in no longer has security. And now all of a sudden there's nomads and bad guys coming in and looting and plundering. So those guys have it the worst. The middle management guys, hopefully most of them saw the writing on the wall and they were like, let me get my acorns put together and get out of here, and maybe we can start a corporation somewhere else. I have some contacts in the Dixie Belt. I have some contacts in Dallas that I made friends with over the years. Looks like Dallas is doing okay. Maybe I can go over there, partner up with somebody in middle management at Militech, and go like, hey, why don't we start our own military corporation, and go from there. So definitely, that's like a really fun thing to explore. One of my players in my game, he made his own corporation, Boston Medical Solutions, and he's in Texas as like an ambassador. The corporation sent him there, hoping that he can like create a foothold there, learn whatever, like learn something, learn the way of the land, learn the politics, learn the bureaucracy, and maybe we can, if it's good enough, if you think it's fertile land, then the corporation will be able to divert funds to you, and you can start Boston Medical Solutions Texas division or Dallas division or whatever. So so that's something. So it'll be Texas Medical Solutions, right? So that's something that definitely you want to explore if your players are really interested in it. I would not hold that back from them. Making a kick-ass corporation sounds super cool. Hell yeah, it is. Hell yeah. If you're starting from the ground up, contacts are really important. You want to make friends with fixers. Fixers get you stuff. They know where to get them, how to get them. You want to make contacts with all the major factions in your area. That means organized crime, smaller corporations, government bodies. If you're in Texas, you want to make friends with the Texas Rangers and the Amber Oasis, because the Amber Oasis is a nomad group, and they facilitate trade throughout all the cities. So if you're not friendly with the people that are essentially doing your shipments for you, then you're gonna have a bad time. You know, you got to make sure that they're happy, or else you're gonna be on your own. So these are all things that your players should be asking themselves, and that you should be asking them. Like, what's your goal for your corporation? Where do you want to start? What kind of fixers do you want to be friends with? Like, do you want to be friends with fixers that know drug dealers? Because you okay, buddy? Because they can source chemicals, they can source medicine and stuff like that. So, you know, ask those kinds of questions, definitely. It's kind of sad that doing business is not about giving people what they want, but getting permission by people who have nothing to do with it. Yeah, that can happen. That can happen. That's because, like, if you work for any construction company, you know that, like, when you pull a permit, you basically have to involve the city in all of your plans. And at the end of the day, like, they have city ordinances that they have to abide by, but most of the time that I've experienced it, they just want to get their cut. That's all it is. It's like, hey, you're doing stuff, like, we want to get our cut. Whatever money's involved, some of it needs to go to us. And that's, I think that's just like par for the course. It's something that's definitely, that's going to happen in Cyberpunk as well. You work in a fixer's territory, and unless your corporation has like major resources, you basically have to abide by whatever the fixer wants, because they have more resources than you. It's Game of Thrones. Stephen Odinson, how do you feel about bringing in legends? Morgan Blackhand, Waylon Boa, Spider Murphy, etc. I think they're cool if they come in, they do a little cameo, but your players have to care. A lot of my players, they think like, unless it's Johnny Silverhand or, you know, Morgan Blackhand, they're probably not going to bat an eye. So the established lore characters, as cool as they are, I don't think they have much of an impact on people's games as Drizzt from D&D does, or any of those other major, like, Dragonlance characters and stuff like that. I think those characters are way more established and people want to explore those topics more than in Cyberpunk. I think because Cyberpunk is such a personal game, it's such a personal story, that you would rather spend resources on creating and exploring your personal story over, some other badass. Excuse me. Now, would it be cool if Atom Smasher 2.0 fought the players? Like, yeah, of course. The bad guys, definitely it would be fun to have them in the game. So I wouldn't say no to that. That's for sure. Thanks for the answer. I am playing an exec working for Sovoil, but I was left wondering if I could make my own. Yeah. Dude, that's how corporations are made. You work for Sovoil one day, you steal corporate secrets, you poach some of the workers, and you make your own corporation. It's like, you find all these middle management, lower management, upper management people, and you go like, hey, you want a bigger payday? Let's go and start our own corporation. We'll take all these contacts that we've made helping this corporation that, yeah, buddy.
How do you just do the Disney Junior Ion paint?
You're gonna have to draw it, buddy.
Well, it's over here.
Okay, buddy, but I'm doing a live chat right now.
Why?
I can't help you right now, okay? You want some Cheetos?
Yeah, but I can't help.
No, it's okay, buddy. Hold on, guys. Hold it good, it's gonna fall. Alright, go ahead. I'll help you when I'm done, okay, buddy?
Oh no,
It- It's okay, Timmy will eat it. It's okay, Timmy will eat it. But yeah, like as I was saying, you work for a corporation, they don't appreciate you, so you steal the contacts that you personally made. Those contacts personally want to work with you. Like, yeah, they work with Sovoil, but they call you when they want to work with Sovoil. So you tell them like, hey, are you tired of paying like double what you usually would pay? Because I'm starting my own company and I could charge you less. It's shady, but that's the nature of the business. BMS sounds like a company who will take a dying paramedic and fully convert them to a super medic. Come with me if you want to live. Well, actually, my player said it would be awesome if his corporation could actually be trying to do good. He said at least his character is trying to do good, like they're trying to make a difference and help the world around him. But at the same time, corporate greed is corporate greed. There's always going to be somebody above him that has an agenda. And he found out really quickly that it's really difficult to operate in the dark future as a good guy. It just is. You got to get your hands dirty a little bit. Even when you want to do good, you got to do a little bit of bad first. You know what I mean? That's something that his character developed and explored, and it actually made his character a lot more interesting too. And it was really fun to explore that idea of like things not going the way that you had planned originally. He flatlined his first human being, the character did, and then kind of got like a rush out of it. He's like, oh, I could do this, Short-sightedness is a common theme in Cyberpunk. Yeah, definitely. It's but the thing is, like, short-sightedness and naivety can be deadly. In our world, in our life, short-sightedness and naivety is not as deadly, even close to as deadly as in Cyberpunk. In Cyberpunk, if you trust people and you take them in and you try to help them, that could be the last person you'll ever see. So that's tough. Medicine Melancholy. Hey, John, I know my nickname is odd. Don't worry. Just wanted to say thank you. Love your content. It really helped me set up and run my campaign. 2 sessions in, and me and my friends are having a blast. That's awesome. Thank you, Choom. I appreciate the support. I am so happy to be able to facilitate your guys' fun in any way, shape, or form. I hope you guys have wonderful games. That sounds awesome. Definitely let me know more about that. The corporals are short-sighted. Profit now over the long term. Oh, yeah, because it's all about the quarterly report. That's all it is. Quarterly is every 4 months, 3 months, 4 months, 3 months. You saw how my brain went back and forth there. So yeah, they're focusing on the 3 month. That's it. Like what's happening in 3 months, and what's projected for the next 3 months. Quarterly reports are more important than anything, So even now, like corporations are all about infinite growth, which is ridiculous. It's not sustainable. There's never enough. It needs to be better than last year. So we're seeing the results of that. The results of that are slave labor, marked up prices, monopolies. I mean, all the dirty tricks in the book. So that's what it is. Connor Fleming, hey, greetings from Scotland. Coming from D&D 5e, looking to run my first campaign, working my way through the Red Core rulebook at the moment. Are there any stumbling blocks I could run into coming from 5e? I think the main stumbling block will be just the mechanics of the game. There's a lot of similarities. Like skill checks are different in Red. Obviously, it's a different system, but it's your stat plus your skill plus 1d10. That's how you do skill checks. There's still the DC, but in this game it's called a DV, that the game master puts up, like, easy, hard, harder, 8, 13, 15, 17. Like those are the numbers that you're gonna have to beat with your skill check. But there's also times where you do opposing rolls, where I do a skill check, you do a skill check, or the enemy does a skill check, and whoever wins, the skill check is the one that passes, the other one fails. The number, basically, whatever number result. Other than that, Cyberpunk is also like focused more on the social aspects of things, because it's so easy to get flatlined. I don't want to say the word. It's so easy to die in Cyberpunk, because that's just how the game is. It's like a gritty world. You have guns. Getting shot in the head is usually a death sentence. So because of that, people are less hesitant to go to their gun and start a fight. In D&D, someone gives you a quest, you go, you slay the monsters, you get loot, you get XP, you get stronger, you learn new spells, and on and on and on. And hopefully there's a nice little story in between. So that whole process is a fun process, and it's not just like playing Diablo 2, But in Cyberpunk, it's more like, okay, you come from a poor family, but now you make money because you're good at unaliving people. So that's your specialty. Now, you can't just go around flatlining everybody in the city, but at the same time, you got to make contacts. You got to make friends with people. So you can't just be the guy that shoots everyone. You got to also be able to go to some stuffy corporate party, put on a stupid little suit, and pretend that you're a part of this group of people, because one of the people is your client, and you got to meet them there. You got to talk to them. You can't just pull out your gun in that situation. Your character's gone like that. There's security. They're all cybered out. They have like insane auto-hitting, guns. They'll just kill you on the drop of a dime. So you have to be smart. And that's what makes Cyberpunk so special, is unlike D&D, you think about what are the things that you can do before going to violence. What are the contacts you can make that will ensure that you will pass whatever agenda or objective that you have in front of you. So that's basically it. Mechanics wise, in D&D and in Cyberpunk, in combat, you have actions and you have move actions. You can move and you can do actions. Same thing as in D&D. It's a little bit different, but not that much different. And that's basically it. There's no magic. The closest thing you can get to magic in Cyberpunk is the Netrunner, because they go into this alternate reality where they can hack into things and control devices and learn information. So, and that's basically it. Oh, another big thing. 5e has long rests and short rests and healing potions. And Cyberpunk doesn't. It has one healing potion. It's called a speed heal. It works once a day. It heals you for like a quarter or a fifth of your HP at best, and and that's basically it. Other than that, you need to go to a hospital, be in a hospital bed, not do any physical activities for a week, 2 weeks, whatever you need to do to recover. So in your campaign, if your players get critically injured, lose a leg, lose an arm, the campaign stops. Like everything's put to a halt, you know? And then now it's like a race to get to the hospital without getting jumped, you know? Because getting jumped in Cyberpunk when you're fully healthy and nothing's wrong with anybody and you have ammo, yeah, whatever, bring it on, bring all the gonks on. But once people start getting injured and they're at half HP and taking negatives to their stats, it's like a snowball effect, you know? And it's like, dude, this travel from this part of the city to the other part of the city was fine when we were all healthy, but now that we're not healthy, like we gotta hope that nothing happens in between. And if it does happen, we can talk our way out of it, or you know, use our wits about us. So that's my main insight on between D&D and Cyberpunk. I hope that was a good enough answer. Let's see. Witcher TTRPG is great, by the way, much better than D&D in my opinion. Nice. I'm glad you feel that way. You're basically a career criminal. A friend of mine was a deputy district attorney for a few years. He said all the criminals are on a suicide and installment payments. Yeah, I bet. They just bleed them dry. Prison is a business. Cybernetics is the magic, LMAO. What is a grenade launching cybernetic other than a sci-fi version of a fireball? Point taken. I can see what you mean with that. It's definitely still steeped in reality because magic can only be countered by other magic. It can't be countered, so you have to be like adept in being able to counter it with magic. But any gonk on the street can find an EMP grenade or know how to unplug something, you know, pull out wires, unplug something. You don't have to be a savant to be able to do that. So the weaknesses in Cyberpunk are easier to exploit than with magic. Depending on your setting in D&D, some people like to do low magic, where it's basically like there's like one wizard for every, you know, 10,000 square miles. And then other people are like, oh, wizards everywhere. The police are wizards, the government are wizards, the army has wizards in them. So it all depends. But in Cyberpunk, the thing about Cyberpunk is you don't know what anybody's packing. There's like concealable cyberware. You don't know how much chrome somebody has. And because of that, you have to be careful because your life could be taken away from you at any point in time. Cyberpunk is more like Vampire the Masquerade than D&D. It's about navigating a fantastical, realistic world rather than traversing combat. Yeah, definitely. It's about traversing social circles. That's really important in Cyberpunk. It's basically one of the main important parts of it. Is making rest in peace Hagrid. I know, man. I know. Poor guy, dude. He wasn't that old anyway, was he? I don't think he was that old, right, guys? Less about exploration. Yeah, I mean, I've actually explored or experimented with exploration with Cyberpunk. There's different ways where you can take stuff from D&D and make it work with Cyberpunk. Like, I had this thought experiment where I was like, what if we took the dungeon crawl mechanic of D&D and implemented into Cyberpunk? How would it work? Like, how would I do that? And I found two solutions. One was clearing a combat zone. You go like hex grid, basically exploration of a combat zone. This area, you come upon an area and you're like, okay, I don't know what's going on here. Everything is fluid here. Like, so this territory could be a part of this gang one day and part of another gang the other day. And it's basically up to the players to figure out whose territory they're in. Are they allies? Are they enemies? Are we in danger? Can we move on? Can they give us resources? Maybe you're looking for somebody in the combat zone. A corporate exec's son was kidnapped and taken to a combat zone. So now you're like traversing through hell to find him and come back, like Saving Private Ryan style. So that's a way you can explore a combat zone. You could definitely do like a whole campaign of that. Another one is like a mega building. Actually, one of my friends, another creator, Mr. Stids, he made a system agnostic cyberpunk setting where it's a mega building and you can explore it and stuff. But that's a really great way to do it. Multiple floors, each floor has something going on with it. Each door in those floors has something going on with it. One of that I did was a hotel. I did a hotel where like every floor something was happening, and so that's a really fun way to do exploration in Cyberpunk as well. So D&D is great, man. There's things you can take from D&D and do it in your games, man. You could definitely do that. So I would recommend it completely. We need Snake Plissken. That sounds familiar. The best exploration system is about interconnection info that is instantly available from different sense modalities into something that is not instantly available. Damn, that was a lot of words. Example, you go to where their body is, you hear a tick but not a talk, you look at the clock and it's broken, a hole in it at 8:19, murder happened at 8:19. Yeah, that's fun. I like that kind of stuff too. Definitely would love to explore those kinds of ideas. But yeah, that's basically it. You know, if you guys have any other questions, let me know. I'm here to answer any questions that you guys have, offer my insight. I love doing it. I love interacting with you guys. This is fun for me. I'm probably going to end this chat soon if there are no other questions. And I would love to do this again. I will be doing it again. So if you didn't get your questions in, if you guys are watching the VOD, definitely stay tuned. Tap the bell icon. The model for Solid Snake, got you. Tap the bell icon, make sure you guys do that. That way you get a notification on your phone whenever I'm about to go live, and maybe you can catch it next time, you know? That's definitely some kind of advice I would give you guys. I appreciate all the love and support. It's great seeing so many people coming in to the hobby. It's really awesome to see it. I had 2 sessions of combat because they were clearing a house during the 4th Corporate War in Brazil, so it was in the favelas. They took slow and methodical to a new level. Yeah, I mean, that's dangerous. The favelas are dangerous right now. I can't imagine how dangerous they would be in the dark future. They're probably like on another level of dangerous. So I don't blame them for taking their time going through that area. So yeah, definitely. You know what? I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm just gonna. So yeah, any other questions, let me know, guys. I'd be happy to help you guys out. Thanks for the shekels, Liran. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I love the support. I really, really appreciate it. Seriously. Here we go. Jason Rifle. Hey, John, what's your email address for questions at Night City Council? JonJonTheWise@gmail.com. That's how you guys can reach me. So don't be shy. Hit me up. I'm making a list, checking it twice. Gonna find out who's naughty or nice. But you guys are all nice, so don't worry. Make sure you guys send that stuff to me. Be more than happy to add it to the list. Shoot. I made a mistake. Sorry, guys. Give me a sec. Pick that up. Okay. Yeah, JonJonTheWise@gmail.com. Also, submit your horror stories, guys. Anybody that has horror stories, things that gone wrong, a GM with a power trip, drama, whatever. A guy that tried to derail your game. Somebody that tried to cringily like impress a girl. Whatever you guys have, I would love to hear your stories. I'm very interested. And send them over. I want to check them out. Let's laugh. And I'll offer my insight too. I have had my fair share, dude. If you guys, I don't know if you guys remember something called Craigslist, but just imagine I found TTRPG group from Craigslist. Yeah, I think that says it all, right, guys? If you guys know about Craigslist, then you know that that was a mistake. But it was a learning lesson. All right. Okay, that's it. Thanks, mate. All right, that's it. All right, guys. Chooms, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. Seriously, this is really awesome. Like, I'm almost at 6K. All right, quick question before I sign off. My party doesn't have a techie playing red. Should NPC techies offering their service be a thing? Yes. Or maybe is securing a contact like that a quest in itself? Yes. Both yes. Definitely. A good tech is hard to come by. Anybody can put nuts and bolts together, but it takes a really skilled tech to be able to put that together. So finding all that is really important. I would definitely make that a thing. If you can, try to find somebody in the player's backstory that could fill that role, because that's even better. Did anyone make a ref upset enough to drop an Atom Smasher on the players? I mean, if the GM wants to kill the players, they can easily do it. Like, it's so easy in Cyberpunk to do it. And if it got to there, then yeah, something went horribly wrong in your game, in your group. All right, and y'all need Jesus or something. So yeah, that's it. All right, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate the support and the love. I'm almost at 6K. I just hit 5K and I'm almost at 6. My views have been skyrocketing because people are getting into the game because of the anime. And I'm living on the high life right now. So I really appreciate you guys loving and supporting. Like, subscribe, Patreon, all those things help. Being a member on this channel is great too. Hopefully I'll do some more live events as well. Definitely go the player backstory route. Perfect. I think the goal in the Cyberpunk is not to survive, but to live with integrity, even if it means death. You gotta have an honor or you're nothing, chum. When might we see more UTCS? Another episode will be coming out soon. I have Night City Council to work on. That's gonna come out first, and then maybe UTCS after that, and then sky's the limit. All right, so don't worry. All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, week, year, everything. Happy gaming. JonJonTheWise@gmail.com with your horror stories and questions for the Night City Council. At 7 p.m. tonight, Pacific Standard Time, go to twitch.tv/InfiniteSidedDice to watch a premiere episode, the first episode of Edge of Extinction, a brand new actual play of Cyberpunk Red, done on the highest production level that you're ever going to see with Cyberpunk. All right? Thank you guys so much. Take care. Love you guys. Bye.